Some time ago, I was sitting all comfy in my chair while writing some notes and talking to God. It was back when God had taken us somewhere new, and we were in a place that was unfamiliar. And suddenly, God said to me, "The power of a seed." And then He started to prepare me for a very big lesson on trust and faith. Then I decided to go out for a walk in the city. We were staying in a city that was not something I was familiar with, and at the time we had rented a car to get there, and I was completely, wholeheartedly trusting God to honor His promise and to take care of us and protect us and provide for us. So there was a lot of risk involved with everything I did. When I was walking through the city, I saw a lady with layers of clothes on in the summer heat. She was holding a sign and hoping for someone to give her a blessing of help. When I walked past her, I looked into her eyes and I instantly melted with love from Papa God. I thought to myself, she looks like a mom to me. I think I saw a part of my own self in her, and I connected with how much God loved her. It was also a vulnerable place for me because over the past 6 years, the fear of homelessness was something that I constantly had to battle, and God had given us a promise that we would never be homeless and that He would always supply for us abundantly, and that He would pay for all our needs, our housing, our food, our vehicles. But it was always scary because it never looked possible until it was. So after I walked past the lady, the Lord told me to go to an ATM on the next block and take out $10 to give to the lady. He wanted me to plant a seed, and it was a test of faith in what God will do with a cheerful giver. And I just want to say, normally I keep my seed planting giving private, but God is wanting me to share this specific story with you for a reason. While I was pressing the buttons at the ATM machine, I remembered that we were once in a time long ago in a tiny motel, and I was desperate for help to get by. And back then, God told me if I ever needed miracle wealth, just plant a financial seed with whatever I had, even if it was just $1. I did that during that time, long ago, regularly, and God always caused miracle money to come back to us to get through impossible looking situations. He showed me that whenever I was in need, the way to receive was to give. It was the secret path to finding water in a desert, and it saved us more times than I can remember. God told me it would always come back to me multiplied, because the same one who put seed in the hands of the sower and brought bread to fill our stomachs will provide and multiply the resources that you invest and produce an abundant harvest. The Lord also showed me that giving is an act of faith, trust, and worship. When we let go, it shows that we trust God to refill us with more than we had before. I was really excited when I walked back to that lady on the street because I knew God was helping me to plant a garden. And I honestly really wanted to show her the love of water in the desert. Even though it was just $10, when you have nothing, that's a lot. And it's all about giving from the heart anyways. So I had some kind of childlike faith and confidence rise up within me, and I said out loud, God, this is the seed for my car. I had been praying for a car, that I could buy a car to get us home or to our hometown from the city that we were staying in, because I was having troubles with the rental car company, and the rental cars in the city were like always running out. They were constantly booked, and I just wanted the peace of mind of having my own vehicle. So when I gave the lady the seed, I said to her, may you get more than you expect. And she just stared at me with bewilderment as she processed the power of the words that God was ministering to her spirit. What came next was the pressing of faith, and it was not easy. I started to feel trapped without a car and so confined that I couldn't breathe. It didn't help that the apartment was a little warmer than I was used to, and the opposition coming against me from every side. I was hit with so much warfare, with worry and fear about being stranded. I knew we had big appointments coming up soon, and we had traveling to do as our time that we had paid to stay was running out. I was in the fire of faith almost instantly, and the pressure became unbearable. I could no longer ignore the pain coming at me, and I wept with deep grief and of feeling so confined. I couldn't take it any longer, and I collapsed on the floor, and I pressed my hands into the rug while tears poured down my face. And I said, God, I give you my weakness. Please pour out your power. I give you my needs. Please pour out your ever-present help. Then I just lay there and I wept, and I surrendered the feeling of being helpless and trapped to God, because I knew that my weakness was my place of honor. My weakness was a conduit of God's power. And I was right where He wanted me to be, even though I was miserable at that moment. It may seem difficult to understand to others, but I have had a hard time when I'm feeling stuck or confined or controlled because of so much past abuse that I have gone through. I can't even handle the stress of having my bed sheets tucked in at the bed. Even my feet need freedom. Freedom is everything to me, and freedom is what Jesus gives. My faith was being tested, and it was like planting strawberries. When planting a strawberry from seed, some people will actually put them in a freezer, which is symbolic of the situation of going through warfare, and then take them out again. As the seed warms, it will send a signal to the seed that it's springtime, and the seed to activate and grow. Although it seemed like I was walking through a bitter time, little did I know that I was stepping into something delightfully sweet, like eating sun-ripened strawberries. An unexpected door opened a week after I planted the seed to that lady, and God gave me a car that was red like a sweet strawberry. It was an older used car and something to get us through that time, but God's love came out to be our ever-present help and source of true love. One time God told me that to be like a child when I plant the seed of faith and call forth what I want it to be. Like planting a garden, people could choose what kinds of beauty they want in their garden. Some people prefer roses, some tulips, and some like vegetables and fruit. When we have the trusting faith of a child, nothing is impossible. Childlike faith is a never-ending place of beauty. A little bit of confidence in knowing that God loves us and that He will help us goes a long way. Like in Hebrews 4:16, it says, therefore let us with privilege approach the throne of grace, of God's gracious favor with confidence and without fear, so that we may receive mercy for our failures, and find His amazing grace to help in times of need, the appropriate blessing coming just at the right moment. I will be honest with you that after I got my car and was allowed to have the freedom once again, I started to panic. My faith was immediately being tested again, and I was tempted to sell it just so I could get the money that I spent and pay the next month's room. I allowed myself to doubt what God promised to do, but then I remembered that the winds of opposition only cause more seeds to scatter for a bigger harvest. God encouraged me to trust as amazingly as my best friend that He is, and He helped me to remember His vow to support us through love as we continued on our journey. Not only that, it was only a few months after I got the red car that God gave me my dream car, which was a black SUV, which I can't even express how happy I was for that. So it was like I had lots of strawberries coming in. Planting seeds gives us more trust in God to give back what we gave. And God promised to multiply it back to us with sweet abundance, like a strawberry with over 200 seeds in each heart-shaped little berry. God is ready to overwhelm us with more blessings than we can imagine. We'll always be taken care of in every way, and we'll always have more than enough to share. Planting seeds of faith is not only an act of faith and trust in God, but it's also an act of worship. When we trust Him with what we have and know that He will refill us with more, then we are crowning Him King over our hearts. A strawberry grows from the crown, and that is symbolic to me how we must open our hearts to trust God when planting seeds of faith. We have to always know that we are His beloved children and how much more He gives to those that He loves. The strawberry becomes a beautiful flower before the plump fruit appears. That reminds me that when we are waiting for God to deliver the fruit of fulfillment, we need to concentrate our attention on His promises, symbolic of the flowers, and not allow doubt to creep in. God will show up just as we hoped, and He will deliver even bigger than we thought or expected. With overflowing joy and excitement, we will feast on the early arrival of His goodness, like picking strawberries fresh from the garden as the first fruits of spring arrive. Not only did God cause sweet fruit to come from that decree of faith and the tiny little seed, but He brought us back to the place where we love to be. After spending a month in the uncomfortable place of being somewhere unfamiliar, we came back to the comforts of the place that felt like home. It felt good to know where everything was and to relax in God as our ever-present home. May God also give you a super abundant harvest with each little seed of faith that you plant. I pray He overwhelms you with good things, and I love you. May you be rich in everything so that your generosity will spill over in every direction.